6 configurations changes to secure IIS 10 web server. The IIS web server provides the frontline to your website, providing authentication options and web permissions. IIS integrates into the server security model and operating system services such as file system and directory. Because IIS uses the server's user database, and the same access control lists as all other Windows services, it is important to make sure it is properly configured. Otherwise, it can be leveraged to be used as the gate to the server's OS and your network. 1. Secure your cookies. Cookies are a common tool, especially for authentication. In cases that the application running on the site doesn't need to access them with client-side JavaScript, you should secure them by setting them as HTTP only. If your application does need to have access to the cookie, you should set a secure flag. Setting a secure flag will mean that cookies can only be accessed using SSL. 2. Prevent non-HTTPS connections. Every site should be using SSL. Most sites also use port 80 for users who don't type HTTPS in the URL. Those users need to be directed to the SSL version of the site, and you must make sure they can't access any non-SSL resource on your site. 3. Remove IIS's branded response headers. One of the most valuable steps of network reconnaissance is discovering the software and version you are using. Different versions suffer from specific vulnerabilities. Once the attacker has these details, he can search for specific attacks to compromise the system, or use relevant information to perform social engineering-based attacks. Your branded response headers can be easily located using developers' tools and will be held under the server and X powered by headlines. You must remove them to avoid this information being discovered. 4. User referrer policy. When a web browser follows a link from one site to another, it sends a referrer header that the next website can read. This can be leveraged by attackers and used to hijack your website. If the URL of one of your pages contains sensitive information, it shouldn't be sent to an external site. A referrer policy is the way to prevent it. 5. Use HSTS. HSTS stands for HTTP Strict Transport Security. Enforcing SSL using rewrite rules is not enough. Attackers can use packet sniffers to redirect traffic that relies on 301 redirects alone to enforce SSL. When your web server insists that web browsers connect only via SSL, attempts to intercept traffic between users and your site will fail. 6. Fix IIS cryptography settings. Using veteran versions of IIS cryptography, such as TLS 1.0 and different cipher suites, holds huge risks to your website. Some sites require stricter cryptography than others, but default IIS cryptography in all cases are vulnerable. Take into consideration that changing these values may affect the functionality of your site. Make sure that its best practices really suit your needs. Please subscribe to this channel for more informative sessions.